Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now we are talking about, and I'm really excited, the Ditex LAN scope. Now this is their cheapest scope, this is their basic scope. They do others and it's the basic kit, but it's a 4-channel scope and it's €235 plus the VAT, plus the vodka and tonic. €235. That's unbelievable for a proper scope that is made by a proper company. Phenomenal. And it means for that price that basically anyone can really afford it. You don't have to be spending thousands. And yes, you do need, you just get the basic kit with it. But once you've got the scope and obviously a laptop, which most people have, you can just add to it gradually and then you can build up your collection just like everyone has to do. But it's €235. So we're going to put it through its paces and we're doing loads of videos on it because what I plan to do in these series is basically go through, basic simple tests you can do with a scope and get used to it. Now, I can obviously show you on here and on YouTube, but the best thing you need to do, I'll leave all the links down below. You can actually download the software for this for free. You don't need the scope, you just download the software for free. Once you've got it, you can then start playing with it. There's, I'll show you when we get the computer hooked up. There's demo modes and you can go through controlling stuff and waveforms and changing the time bases. You can get used to it. If you are going to get one, it means you can get one, you can start scoping stuff and mess around with it. What I suggest you do is you get a scope and you start scoping a car that isn't broke. Don't scope a broken car because you're not going to know where you're going. The reason why I say don't scope a broken car is because if you want to look, for example, you've got a car, whether it's petrol or diesel, let's just say it's diesel or petrol, and you want to look at the secondary ignition waveform, for example, well, that car is running, so when you scope that, whichever pattern you get, that's a good pattern. So once you get used to a good pattern, you then know a bad pattern, rather than trying to figure out which is a good or bad pattern. Things like cam and crank correlations. If you've got a car and it's running perfectly, or if it's just had a timing belt, scope it straight away and save that waveform. So if you do have an issue and you think you've got a timing issue, you can always go back. So scope a good car and start messing. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but actually physically doing it is the best way. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to go through this scope and we're going to go through setting it up. Very, very simple, just how to set a scope up. And then in other videos, we're going to show, how to back probe stuff and how to get waveforms. So there's going to be some videos that are longer than others. This is just going to be a very basic video. Where to download the software, how to download the software, how to scope it. This one does have a few unique features. It's not USB controlled. It's actually used by the LAN network in the computer. And the reason that is because it completely isolates it from the whole computer. Then you don't need a separate earth for the scope. And if you are having earthing issues inside your computer, like I did on one of, well, I didn't actually show it, I think I did show it in a video. I had to use the external earth and everything was going skew whiffy because my power supply, my laptop was making the earth go funny. But anyway, even if the power supply in your laptop makes the earth go funny, it doesn't affect this scope. So we're going to go through what you get in this. It shows you all the bare minimum specifications you need, but again, that's all on the website. Let's go through, see what we've got and see how to set it up. Sorted. Now I realize for some of you, yes, this might seem boring, so this is not for you. So there's no point you watching a video and leaving stupid comments. This is for the people that really don't know how to use a scope and want to essentially learn. So what do you get? Oh, that's a great noise. Oh, that's going to annoy people. What do you get in the box? We get the scope. Got the Irish colours on as well. Green, look at that. There we go. We've got our 4 channels, A, B, C and D. And then we've got our LAN cable, which is actually what communicates with our computer. But what I did see here is we've got a couple of options to power this. We can power this off the battery, or we can power this off a plug, which is handy. Now, if you do power it off a battery, be aware you do need a battery maintainer, unless the car is constantly being started, so just bear that in mind. We have the plug, which is the wrong, I had to get the adapter for our side. And we have some back probes. I really like these back probes because you've got back probes and a pin, but the best thing about these back probes is, if you want to, you can actually bend them to get them in, and they don't really break. You can bend them to get them in tighter areas and stuff, and then you just got the normal back probe pins, which is really handy. You do have to be careful when you double back probe a sensor, because they're basically naked, so you don't want to cross them. This then is our lead for the battery and the scope, so you can power it off the car, which is handy. We then have our 4, hold on, before we do that. We have a couple of attenuators, 20-to-1 attenuators, depending on what you're doing. And then we have an AC couple 1-to-1 as well, so there we go. Now, this is our LAN cable. So this goes into your computer and the scope, and that's how they both basically communicate with each other. Now we've got our leads. So as you can see, we've got one with an earth, so that's obviously one you need to use first. If you're using more than one channel, you're going to want to use this one, and obviously then it shares the earth with the others, which is fine. And that is what you get in the package. Now, like I said, the beauty about this is it is so cheap. As scopes go, it's absolutely phenomenal. A 4-channel scope. Yes, you do need a laptop, but let's face it, who doesn't really have a laptop now? So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the laptop on. We're going to show you how to actually set it up. And I'm also going to show you where you can download the software and how you can use the demo mode. Then in the next video, we're going to show how to actually, connect this up to certain things and use it. Right, okay, so it's not a differential scope, but then neither is the snap-on one, so I wouldn't really mind that. Again, you have to realize the price point of this. They all have banana plugs at the end, which is really good, so you can put any connection on, but you are going to need some kind of terminal kit, so you can put different ends on here, depending on what you're doing, essentially. And I would also advise you to get, amp clamps and stuff like that. You don't have to get them straight away, but, amp clamps and stuff like that is going to really go well with this type of scope. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you where to download the software from, how to install it, and get it all set up, and then, yeah. Right, so some of the really good things about this is, like I was saying, it works with the LAN cable, which is this fella here. So you don't need, any USB drivers or anything like that, and it's isolated from the rest of the computer. It's got a fully functional ignition analyzer. You can add your own input presets. So in other words, if you like your scope set up a certain way when you turn it on, you can do all that. Has a built-in help system. So in other words, you can, it shows you how to set stuff up. It gives you information on what you are testing and all that, which is absolutely fantastic. There's loads of saved waveforms as well, so if you're stuck, or like I said, you don't really know how to hook something up and what it's about, it's all preset built in there for you to make your life a hell of a lot easier. Right, Google Chrome has decided to stop working, which is great, just as you want, as you're just starting to record the interwebs, which is just brilliant. Thank you. Right, so what we need to do is type in Ditex. Oh, look what comes up. Relative compression tester. Oh, boom, I'm first. Just saying. Boom, we're first. Look at that. See that? Look, we're first. Anyway, right, we don't need relative compression tester. We just need Ditex. So, let's just type in that. And we go straight to their website. And you can see all the good stuff on their website. So, if you want to browse through it, all the oscilloscopes and stuff they do. And here you can see this is us. This is the Plus, and this is kind of the handheld touchscreen one here. So we've got the LAN one. Just go to downloads. And like I said, you can do this without having the scope, just to play around with it. Right, so what you want to do is you want to go CarScope for Windows, and obviously pick whichever version of Windows you have, whether it's 62-bit or 32-bit. Just download it, run it, install it. I mean, it really is. I don't have to go through that with you. And as you can see, once you do that, what I did is I've got the logo in the middle of my screen. as you can see. But the way I got that there, what you have to do once you download it, you'll see it here, and you just unzip it. And once you unzip it, it comes into this folder here, CarScope. You double click on that. And all I did is, here where it says CarScope, this is your program. I right clicked and I just create a shortcut. And then you drag the shortcut onto your desktop. That's the way I did it. Now, I've got no scope connected at the minute. Okay, so once you've got your CarScope on your desktop, double click, open it up, and we're going to go into demo mode. Now remember, I've got no scope connected, so it's gonna know that I've got no scope connected, but we can still go into the demo mode. At the top, it says demo mode. Click onto it, wait a few seconds, come down to the bottom right hand, click on connect. You can now see it says disconnect. Come to the bottom left hand side of your screen, press start, and boom, we now have a waveform we can mess with. If you come up to the top right hand, you'll see we've got channel 1, 2. So we can actually bring up another one, and then it goes into the 4 channel. So what we can now do is we can, lift up different traces depending on what we're doing and get them out of the way. We'll just stick to 2 channels at the minute, just make it a little bit easier. And now what we can do is essentially mess around with this waveform. We've got our time base here. We can adjust our time base, as you can see. We can get more information on the screen. We can invert the waveform, if you've maybe got your connections on the wrong way around or something like that. Basically what we can do now is we can just mess around with this to our heart's content. What I really like about this, if you look at the top where my cursor is now, we've got basically the waveform up here, and we can zoom in just by clicking this and zooming into a specific part. Can you see that? So I can just click and hold my mouse button and zoom in to whichever part of that waveform I like, which I really, really like. And like I said, you just basically mess around with the time base now and do whatever you want to do with this and get used to the software, get used to what the waveforms look like without even buying a scope. So you can do this for free. Get used to the software. Once you get used to the software, then you can, once you do get your scope, it's just going to be second nature to you. Absolutely brilliant. Easy. What more do you want? So if we want to stop it, we go to stop. Once we stop it, depending on what you're doing, we've got our degree markers here. So we can just lift this up to our waveform and we can actually stretch this out depending on how big or small our waveform is. And you can see our degrees marks there. Very, very easy. We can actually add more into that, but we'll go into that in another video. But you can see here now. And then we've got at the top, we've got our inputs, and as you can see, we can select between what we are doing, a 10-1 indicator, 20-1, a current clamp, 1000 volts, amp clamp, boost pressure sensor, and all the pressure transducers and absolutely everything with a scroll down menu just by pressing a button. Very easy, and then boom, it sets up that channel for what you've just selected. Pre-selected things as well. So again, all you got to do is, if you're doing a current clamp on or a current trace on your injector, make sure you select the right probe input, the right channel, select what you need, and boom, it will change it to that. And if you're doing boost pressure, boom, again, it'll just change it automatically for you, which is brilliant. Then what we can do, we go to automotive here, and we have all our sensors, our injectors, our ignition. So if you want to do, say, an ABS sensor, so we just go to sensors here, ABS analog. Now it's set up the scope to what we need. Obviously we haven't got anything on the scope now, so if we had an ABS sensor hooked up, we could spin the wheel and we could see our waveform. And then what's really good is, once you've got that, if you want to know some more information about it, you go to ABS analog here where it says help, just click on it, and it will actually tell you what you need to do. How to set it up, what you need. Do you need an attenuator? Do you need an amp clamp? Do you need, a pickup? Whatever you need, it will tell you what you need. And it even comes down here and it'll give you a waveform of what it should be. So even if you're unsure of the waveform, as you can see, the software is telling you what the waveform should be like. And it's also giving you, at the top, it's giving you how to test it. And once you select that right sensor, the scope will automatically go in all the presets for you. Now, once you're used to a scope, some of the presets might not suit you, and you can change it to what you like once you kind of get used to it. So let's just go to an injector, voltage versus current. And again, it's now put it to 2 channels. I don't know if you see at the top here. It's now automatically put it to 2 channels, and it's telling us channel A is 20 amp current clamp and channel 1 is an attenuator. So it's telling you what you need for this. We go to the help again, and again, it will tell you here exactly what you need for channel A, channel B. And we come down here and it tells you everything you need to know, and that's what makes it, you know, brilliant. And this is free. Like I said, you can go into this and download and this, play with your heart's content. Once you get a scope, then it's just going to be second nature to you. Again, I can't go through absolutely everything on here because there's just way too much. Battery test. This is what I do want to be doing when I actually do the video, because, you know, very easy. Let's just go into that. So here we've got battery test, charging. So very easily we can go into these tests. Again, it sets it up. 2 channel, tells us what we need. 60 amp clamp, up here, look. And just go down to help, and again it will tell you exactly what you need. So if you're unsure, it's always good to go down to help, because it even tells you where to put the leads, what to do it, what even to switch the amp clamp onto. Now, depending on what amp clamp you've got, you might have different settings, but you get the idea. Also, which is really good, it tells you to zero it, because that's so important. You can easily forget to zero your amp clamp, and that can make a huge difference. So what you really need to do is, like I said, it's one thing watching a video, but you need to kind of download this software, start playing with it, start going through all the stuff you can do, you know, going through all the sensors, looking at what sensors you've got, what presets it's got. You don't have to go off the presets. You've got coolant temperature sensors here, mass sensors, absolutely every sensor you can imagine. And this just helps you. Like I said, you don't have to go through these presets, but it helps you. And with the help menu, it's just absolutely fantastic. Again, look, it shows you how to do it, and it shows you what you basically need to look for. We will go into this in other videos. This is just a video to show you how to actually hook it up and you know, go from there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to actually hook up the scope, and we'll see what it does when we actually hook it up. Right, we have the scope. So I've got the LAN cable first. And again, I know this is going to seem obvious to some people, but not everybody. After all, this is just, you know, very basic for beginners. LAN cable goes in the back. Plug a LAN cable into our computer. Now, placement is important. Be careful where you place things, because if you place things close to, you know, like this, over ignition coils and stuff like that, or your lines, you can get a lot of interference. You're going to get interference anyway, but the furthest away you can get everything, the better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this over there. It would be nice if it did come with a thing so you can hook it on your bonnet, but again, people, the price, you have to keep remembering the price. So just for this time, I'm going to put this on the battery, but I will be getting the plug pack working, but I don't have the right connection to go into our proper plugs we have over here. Now, as you can see, status, lights flashing. So I want to keep that as far away from there as possible. And this is going to be our cable we're going to use, because this has our earth, and obviously this is channel A, and after that it shares the earth. So what we're going to go back onto the computer. So now we turn the scope on, or the software on, and as you can see at the bottom it says connect straight away. It's not dull. So there we go, the scope is now on. Alright, just a little bit of homework for you. I want you to tell me what that waveform is. I've only got one hooked up. As you can see, it is divided into 4, but we've only got one hooked up. So there we go. That's going to be it for this part of the video. Like I said, this was just to show how to actually set up the software What you need to really do is you need to download the software, play around with it, get used to it. Then once I actually come to do some actual, you know, proper waveforms, we can talk about the software in a lot better detail. But there we go. That's a waveform for you. So it down in the description, tell me what that is, what it is down below, essentially. Very easy. And we will get to play around with this a lot more and do a lot more waveforms. And yeah. So that's going to be part 1. So look, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here, links down below. But most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.